They don't pull away suddenly. It only feels sudden because you missed the shift. At first, everything feels normal, maybe even better than usual, and that's exactly why you don't see it coming. Because the change doesn't start in their behavior. It starts in how they perceive you. And that perception changes quietly, without warning, without explanation, without a clear moment you can point to. So, when they finally act different, it feels confusing, almost unfair, like something changed overnight. But it didn't. It was building the entire time. You just didn't notice the signals. And the reason you didn't notice them is because the signals are subtle. They don't look like rejection at first. They look like comfort, like familiarity, like things are progressing normally. Which is why most people misread them completely, because they think attraction disappears when something goes wrong. But in reality, it usually fades when something becomes too predictable. And predictability doesn't feel dangerous, it feels safe. So you lean into it, you respond faster, you explain more. You make your intentions clearer. You remove uncertainty because you think clarity builds connection. But clarity, when it comes too early or too consistently, removes tension. And tension is what keeps someone mentally engaged with you. Without it, they stop wondering. Without it, they stop thinking about you when you're not there. Without it, you become easy to understand and easy to overlook. And this is where the shift begins. Not when they pull away, but when they stop trying to figure you out, because curiosity is replaced with certainty. And certainty feels calm, but it also feels flat. So their behavior changes in small ways. They take a little longer to reply. Their messages become slightly shorter. They stop asking follow-up questions. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, just small changes that are easy to rationalize. You tell yourself they're busy, you assume they're distracted. You don't want to overthink it, but something feels different. And instead of observing that difference, you react to it. You try to fix it. You match their distance with more effort. You send another message. You clarify what you meant. You try to bring the energy back to what it was before. And this is the moment most people make the mistake that accelerates the pullback. Because now you're not responding to connection. You're responding to fear. And that shift is felt immediately, not in your words, but in your energy. Your messages carry a different weight. They feel heavier, more intentional. And that investment, when it's not matched, creates pressure. Not obvious pressure, but emotional pressure. The kind that makes someone feel like they need to respond a certain way. And when people feel that pressure, they don't lean in. They create space. So the distance increases. And now it's no longer subtle. Now you feel it clearly. Replies take hours instead of minutes. Conversations don't flow the same way. The dynamic feels off. And this is when most people panic. Because now it feels real. Now it feels like you're losing them. So you try even harder. You explain more. You ask what's wrong. But here's the part that most people don't understand. By the time you notice the distance, the perception has already changed. You're reacting to something that already happened. And reaction doesn't restore attraction. It confirms the new dynamic, because when you chase clarity, you show that you feel uncertain. And uncertainty, when expressed like that, doesn't create attraction. It creates imbalance. You're now more invested than they are, and people don't move toward imbalance. They move away from it. So, the more you try to fix it directly, the more you reinforce the problem indirectly. And this is why things seem to get worse the more you try. Not because effort is bad, but because the timing and intention behind the effort changes how it's perceived. Effort that comes from confidence feels different than effort that comes from fear. One attracts, the other pushes away. And most people don't realize when that shift happens, they think they're doing the same thing. But they're not. The behavior might look similar, but the reason behind it is completely different. And people can feel that difference instantly. So, what actually restores attraction isn't doing more. It's removing the need to do more. It's stepping out of the reaction cycle completely. Because attraction doesn't grow when someone feels understood. It grows when they feel something unresolved, something incomplete, something they can't fully predict. And when you stop reacting, you reintroduce that unpredictability, not by playing games, but by no longer trying to control the outcome. You stop over-explaining. You stop filling every silence. You stop trying to maintain a constant emotional connection. And when that happens, something shifts again. But this time, it shifts in your favor. Because now they don't know exactly where they stand with you. And that uncertainty brings back attention. It brings back curiosity. They start noticing the absence of what you used to give freely. And absence, when it replaces constant presence, creates contrast. And contrast creates impact. So now, instead of you wondering what they're thinking, they start wondering about you. Not because you said something new, but because you stopped saying too much. And this is the part that feels counterintuitive. Because doing less feels like losing control. But in reality, it's the only way to regain balance. Because attraction isn't built through constant reassurance. It's built through emotional variation, through moments of presence and absence, through clarity and mystery, through connection and space. And when everything becomes consistent, predictable, and fully explained, that variation disappears. So the dynamic flattens. And when a dynamic flattens, interest fades. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually, quietly, until you finally notice it. And by then, most people are already reacting to it instead of preventing it. But once you understand this, you stop trying to control every moment. You stop trying to keep everything perfectly aligned. You allow space to exist without immediately filling it. And that space is where attraction rebuilds. Because it gives the other person room to think about you, to feel your absence, to question the change. And questioning creates engagement. Not answers, not explanations, but the absence of them. So the next time someone pulls away, don't focus on what you need to say. Focus on what you need to stop doing. Because most of the time, attraction isn't lost because you said the wrong thing. It's lost because you removed all the tension. And once that tension is gone, no amount of explaining brings it back. Only contrast does. Only space does. Only a shift in behavior that they don't fully understand does. And that shift doesn't come from reacting. It comes from stepping back, from allowing things to breathe, from letting the dynamic reset instead of forcing it forward. Because the moment you stop trying to fix the distance is usually the moment they start noticing it. And when they notice it, they start thinking about why. And that question is where attraction begins again.